December 26th, 1900. A relief keeper named Joseph Moore steps off a boat onto a storm-lashed rock in the North Atlantic. He climbs 160 stairs cut into a cliff face, reaches the door, pushes it open. Nobody's there. Beds unmade, fire gone cold, a chair knocked over on the floor, and hanging on a peg by the door, a winter coat, useless to whoever left without it, in the dead of a Scottish December. 3 lighthouse keepers, gone. No bodies, no blood, no goodbye. One keeper allegedly walked out onto a rooftop during a storm and never came back, and the men who replaced him swore the lighthouse never actually let him leave. 2 more vanished from an island inside the most infamous stretch of ocean on Earth, with an official explanation that doesn't line up with the weather records. And the final case comes with a detail so disturbing that for nearly a century, people believed hardened men were found crying and praying in their final hours. We'll get to whether that's true. Stay till the end. The answer may shock you. Case 1. New London Ledge Light, Connecticut, 1936. A storm hits the Thames River in Connecticut. Inside a squat, mansion-like lighthouse sitting alone in the water, a keeper named Ernie climbs out onto the roof. He doesn't come back down. The story, passed between Coast Guard keepers for generations, says Ernie's wife had left him, for the captain of the Block Island ferry, a boat that passed within sight of his window every single day. But that's not where this gets strange. What followed his disappearance is, keepers stationed there for decades afterward reported tools vanishing from locked rooms and turning up somewhere else, doors opening on their own, paint cans left open with wet brushes beside them as if someone had just stepped away mid-stroke, and boats tied up by visiting fishermen who stepped inside for coffee, found drifting loose in the water every single time, without fail. Here's the responsible version of this story. There's no verified death record confirming Ernie existed exactly as the legend describes. It may be folklore, smoothed over by a century of night shifts and isolation. But legends like this rarely survive that long for no reason. And the pattern it's set is one we're about to see twice more, with a lot more documentation behind it. Case 2. Great Isaac Cay, the Bahamas, 1969. A routine check of a lighthouse 20 miles north of Bimini finds something wrong. The 2 keepers stationed there are simply gone. No distress call, no struggle, no bodies, then or ever. The official explanation is a tropical storm that had passed through days earlier. But investigators later tracked that storm's actual path. And by the time the men vanished, it had already weakened and drifted hundreds of miles away. Too far to explain 2 trained keepers disappearing from a fortified compound built to survive exactly this kind of weather. So if it wasn't the storm, what was it? The island sits inside the most infamous stretch of ocean on the planet for unexplained disappearances. The Bermuda Triangle, ships, planes, and now its own keepers. Some point to smuggling boats that may have passed through those waters. Others lean into older local folklore, a ghost story about a woman who lost her child to a shipwreck generations earlier, blamed ever since for anything that goes wrong on that coastline. Neither theory has been proven. What's left is this: 2 men, no boat missing, nowhere realistic to have gone, and simply not there anymore. The lighthouse was automated soon after. It still runs today, sweeping the water every 15 seconds, with no one left inside to watch it happen. Case 3. Flannan Isles, Scotland, 1900. Back to Joseph Moore, standing in that empty doorway. He knew these men. James Duckett, 20 years a keeper, a wife and 4 kids on shore, a man who never made a mistake worth mentioning. Donald MacArthur, 40, A known brawler in the mainland taverns, someone storms didn't rattle. Thomas Marshall, the youngest, 28, still finding his feet. Moore searched the tower. Cold ashes, a stopped clock, and MacArthur's oilskin coat still on its hook, in December, on an island where the wind alone could kill you without one. Therefore, investigators turned to the one thing that might explain it: the logbook. What they found there made the case infinitely stranger. Entries said to be written by Marshall himself, describing severe winds the likes of which I have never seen before in 20 years. Duckett gone quiet, and MacArthur, the brawler, the man who fought for fun, crying. Grown men, hardened by the sea, praying together inside a reinforced tower built specifically to survive exactly this kind of storm. What had they seen that made men like that pray? Here's the part almost nobody tells you. Those chilling logbook lines, the crying, the praying, the fear, never came from the actual Northern Lighthouse Board archive. They trace back to a single 1929 magazine article, sourced to anonymous English contacts nobody ever named, later popularized by a writer better known for coining the phrase Bermuda Triangle than for careful sourcing. The real logbook, preserved in the board's own records, says nothing about crying or praying. Its final entry, chalked onto a slate rather than written in ink, reads simply, "Storm ended, sea calm." The story that terrified readers for a century was never in the record at all. And yet the physical evidence still doesn't add up. A boulder weighing a ton displaced, iron railings bent out of shape, turf torn from the ground 30 feet up a cliffside, during a week mainland weather stations logged as calm. The most likely explanation is almost as unsettling as a ghost story. A rogue wave. A freak swell capable of striking a cliff face and briefly climbing far higher than any forecast would predict. Strong enough, in documented cases elsewhere, to shatter windows over 100 feet above the sea. If that's what happened, 2 men were caught first, working the landing. The third ran out to help, into the same wave's return. 3 men, gone in under a minute, on a sea that looked calm from anywhere but exactly where they stood. Now put all 3 of these cases side by side. Ernie, if he ever existed, left behind a lighthouse that generations of keepers swore he never fully left. The 2 men of Great Isaac Cay vanished inside the most infamous waters on the planet, with an official explanation the timeline itself can't quite support. And the 3 men of Flannan Isles vanished so completely and so strangely that a magazine writer felt free to simply invent their final moments, and the invention was more believable to most people than the truth. That might be the most unsettling thread connecting all 3. It's not just that these men disappeared, it's that the not knowing was so unbearable. We filled it in ourselves, with ghosts, with tears, with prayers that were never actually written down. Every one of these lighthouses is automated now. The lights still turn, still sweep the water every night, exactly on schedule, doing the one job these men were sent out to do. They just don't need anyone standing inside them to do it anymore. If that thought sits with you a little longer than it should, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what cases you'd like to see next. Because we're only getting started delving into the void.